Yeah. He said,
okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're about ready to go here. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out on this chilly morning. The place isn't as pretty as it gets in the summer, but we're glad to have you here. And glad you could take the time out from your other busy activities. Oh man, it just never lets up, does it? I mean, with the Benghazi hearings, yay! I'm glad they're starting to get somewhere on that. Karl Rove, forgetting who he's supposed to be, who the enemy is. And then the, what they call it, the gay activists going after the Boy Scouts, wanting to turn them into the Boy Scouts of Canada. You know, they opened up the Boy Scouts of Canada to, what do they call them? Active? Openly gay adults and scouts. About 3 years ago, and yeah, woo-hoo. Unfortunately, there's less than half as many Boy Scouts in Canada now than there were before that policy was enacted, and they're still declining. I mean, even the gays don't want to be part of the gay Scouts. Otherwise, they just form the Rainbow Scouts, right? And that gets you right down to it. Their purpose is not to be Boy Scouts. It's to destroy the Boy Scouts, because the Boy Scouts stand for wholesome character education of young people. That's what it's all about. Anyway, so that kind of brings us right into our invocation, but today, instead of an invocation, I wanted to share with you something I just, you know, kind of tripped over in my own reading. You'll see it repeatedly in the Old Testament. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Every man did that which was right in his own eyes. There was no government at one time, and that was a good thing. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people and asked of him a king. It wasn't God's idea. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands, and captains over 50s. And he will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields, and your vineyards, and your olive yards, and even the best of them, and give them to his servants. He will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards, and give to his officers and to their servants. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses, and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which he shall have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, nay, but we would have a king over us, that we may be like all the other nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. What a mistake. And that goes back to Exodus chapter 20. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. I think we've come to the point where a lot of people are trying to have another god. The god of government. I think we need to go back to the earlier days before there was a king in Israel, where every man did that which was right in his own eyes. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And at this time, I would like to introduce the elected officials in our audience. And Nancy, I think you're it.
I have a lighthearted PR.
Oh, all right.
I have a lighthearted PR announcement for you this morning. We talk about the weather. Spring is coming. It's always like one of my favorite seasons. Yay! Want to let you know that pitchers and catchers reported to Arizona today for spring training. And next week, spring training will be fully underway. So we know that as spring and the new season is going to be here upon us. And I think that gives us pause as spring comes, as Easter is upon us, and that rebirth, our political rebirth can also begin. So while I'm still kind of in a funk from November, I felt that maybe spring should be a rebirth for me in many ways this year. So I'm going to try to be on a better plane when that time comes. So we all need to be there when that time comes too. To remember that Easter can be a rebirth for us in many ways.
Thank you, Nancy, our municipal court clerk. All right. Okay, I'd also like to make a special welcome to some people here. You know, one of our top objectives was to get more young people involved. And we've been thinking about that, worrying about that, trying to do that for 4 years now. Yeah, when we were 4 years younger, we first started. But thanks to Larry Cray, unfortunately he's not with us this morning. I'd like to give him a round of applause for his hard efforts. Do it?
He's installing a shower.
Oh, okay. At any rate, he paid careful attention to the people who were volunteering in this last election and made a special note to try to give the young people that helped out so much an opportunity to stay active, stay involved, and keep growing. So he organized an initial meeting of leaders in the county and state leaders for Young Republicans to form a Medina County chapter of the Young Republicans. And that worked well. And they're going to have an actual kickoff meeting. So start looking around for 18 to 40-year-old people. We've got a place for them to go, and we'll have shortly. About right, 3 or 4 more weeks yet. Yeah, and Hallie's one of them. Hallie, I think everybody knows you've got Elder's Aid, so we're glad you could join us today. It's always a pleasure to have you. I don't see Larry Albaugh. Believe it or not, he's not only a state senator, but he's one of the Young Republicans. How about that? At any rate, at this meeting we had this week to discuss forming the Young Republicans, we were very delighted to have a couple of Larry's volunteers who have actively been organizing on campus. Highlands High School, Young Americans Foundation, and they're interested in organizing teenage Republicans so we can go after the high school age too. I think that's great. John, Julie, would you stand up and let us know? We are absolutely delighted you could come here. We would love to see you the second and fourth Saturday of every month. So,
Bring your friends.
Yeah, bring your friends. And whatever we can do to help you, not only in the Highlands, but any other high school in Medina County, just give us a shout. Because you guys are on that front line. You're our frontline soldiers on that one. So we'll back you up.
Thank you.
All right, special guests. We have another one here. Let me see. Gotta get out my notes from my advisory board. Michelle Matino.
Good. Michelle's right here from the Criminal Ranger.
Yeah, stand up. Michelle's here from the and she's you're on the education committee over there.
Yeah, I'm looking at Common Core.
Excellent. Yeah, we're going to try to get some people involved in the education committee here. It's one of our top objectives, and there's a lot of different things to do. So hang out after the meeting. We'll be talking to you as well. And let's see, what else? Oh, any other people who are here for the first time?
And my friend Nancy's working at Common Core with me.
Great.
Welcome.
Just a little introduction. We're kind of a conservative grassroots group that started up in September of 2008, and we kept on going after that election was lost. Actually, it was about October when we looked at each other and said, what do we do if we don't win this election? And the answer was, well, we have to keep doing this for 4 more years. Which seemed like a horrible thing to do back then, and it's been tough. But here we are, we got another 4 years. It's a do the same thing. Anyway, our formula is try to introduce, identify interest, invite, inform, and involve other conservatives like ourselves, wherever we can find them. And it's kind of a search and recruit mission. The other thing is we decided long ago that being a local group wasn't enough. It's not enough to have one good county in the United States. So we spent a lot of our time at the state level and increasingly at the federal level trying to influence politics. We do have a big tent here, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, it doesn't matter. We're all conservatives. And we do allow a variety of views. Not everything you hear from the podium do we necessarily agree with. Same thing on the websites and the we surround them. All we do is requires that it be kept civil. This is a public forum, but it is a private meeting, so we won't eject people, especially if they're doing opposition research. If they're working for Obama, trying to get dirt on Renacci or Portland with their little camcorder, then they might get escorted out. Anyway, and the last thing before we move on to the next announcement, if you're new, make sure you get on our email list. That's how we communicate with people, and it's very important to be communicated with by us. If you know other people who would like to get on our list, well, you can remember MCFAN.org. Okay, that's pretty simple. Just tell them, get on our website, sign the form. They'll be right into our email at you. The only thing happens after that, I go look up their precinct and add that if I can write. Larry Funk, where is Larry? I saw him.
Here on the table.
Larry, did you want to step out here for a minute? He has a word for us about the Oath Keepers, right, Larry?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Now, good morning.
Good morning.
Wow, this small crowd. Years ago, I used to do some public speaking, and this is a very small crowd. So I'm not really nervous now. It's only 30, 40 years since I've done any talking. But anyway, the other day I was working out. I started working out. I don't know. I'm too old for that. But anyway, just working out, and this instructor says, "Okay, put your dumbbells on the chair." So I sat down. The dumbbells. I said, "I am a dumbbell." Okay, enough of that. Okay, how many ex-policemen, veterans, or active policemen are in the crowd? Several. Okay. How many vets are in the crowd? Oh, me too. Okay. I made several different attempts to tell people about the Oath Keepers, and I ran into them a couple of years ago. Something showed up on my email. I looked at them a couple of times. I thought, well, I think I better join. And a little bit of background. Here, I'm going to pass these out in case somebody wants to go on for each side. No. Yeah, you can pass them around. That's the full explanation of the Oath Keepers orders that we will not obey. Okay, number one. Oath Keepers is a nonpartisan association of current and formerly serving military, reserves, National Guard, veterans, peace officers, firefighters, and what have you, who will fulfill the oath we swore with the support of like-minded citizens who take an oath and stand with us. When I used to do my talking, I never read. I always used to do it right off, because I knew what I was talking about. Now I don't. Okay. I got a little bit of problem with senility, dementia, Alzheimer's, and there's a couple of other things, but I forgot what they are.
Where's the oath?
Okay, but anyway, we've taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help us God. That's our oath to the Constitution. The motto of Oath Keepers is not on our watch. And I know you've heard that before. Well, a lot of you have seen it and heard that. But that's coming from the Oath Keepers. They started up in somewhere in I think it was March of '09, and they filed their papers and all that stuff in October of '09 and became an organization. And Stephen Rhodes was the founder of them. Sheriff Mack is on their board. Anyway, what happened was in Katrina, people had a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people had their guns confiscated. And boy, did they get hurt. A lot of those people got killed, stuff like that. And the members of the armed forces that were in there were instructed to do so. Well, all of a sudden realized what was going on, and they stopped it. It's, no, we're not gonna do this. It's against the Constitution. And Stephen Rhodes was a member of the armed forces at that time, and retired in '09, and he immediately started Oath Keepers. And from there, he got together with some really good people, and they set this all up. And I don't know if you people remember the oath. Okay, the oath I took when I went into the service. I, Lawrence Funk, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to the regulations and uniform code of military justice, so help me God. All right? And kind of what that means is, if the President is ordering you to do something that is against the Constitution, you do not have to follow it. You might get, they might put you up against the court and all that, but you should win out, and you have to, and I do, right? I'm a sheepdog, right? I don't know if you know what that means. Guy across the street has a weapon. Guy next door to him has a few weapons. I have some weapons. And I'm the sheepdog for our neighborhood, okay? All the rest of the people are sheep. And if you don't have a gun, I suggest you at least get a concealed carry license. You don't have to have a gun to get the license, all right? At least you'll be there. If at a later time you decide you want a gun, you can get it and you'll be able to carry it. Okay, I started carrying, and a lot of times I tell people sometimes I'm going places where I can't carry, and I go, boy, I feel like I'm naked. I need my gun. Anyway, I'm going to close this up quick because I only get 5 minutes. But I gave Jim a video which ran for 10 minutes, and I wish he would have played that rather than have me up there. But I just got this yesterday in the mail. A person steals guns, which is against the law. Shoots and kills his mother, which is against the law. Transports these guns loaded, which is against the law. Brings guns onto school property, which is against the law. Breaks into the school, which is against the law. Discharges the weapons within city limits, which is against the law. Murders 26 people, which is against the law. And commits suicide. And he broke the law there too. And there are people in this country that somehow think that passing another law, banning guns, would protect us from someone like this. If you haven't noticed, people like this are not concerned about breaking the laws. They only care about fulfilling their own twisted agenda. And the only people that a gun ban will protect against is law-abiding citizens. My own brother goes, well, you don't need a gun. That's what we have the police force for. Yeah. If you agree with this, please repost, right? That's what this was said. But anyway, I urge you all to look up theoathkeepers.org. I'm not a representative of them, but please, join them, because we have to band up, because that's our only line of defense, really. They're after us, they're in every line, after a Christian religion, Judeo-Christian religion, they're after our guns. Look what they're doing right now with the gun thing. They're, in the future, they're going after, what, Agenda 21, if you know anything about that. Transhuman people. They're coming up, they're starting to talking about now how they're going to take people. Have you seen Transformers? This is a reality. They're starting to do this stuff. Okay,
Hey, Jim, just one thing really quick, because he was talking about you don't need a gun, you got a police. I saw a poster that was really funny. It says, you don't need one of these, a gun, you have a police department. And you don't need one of these, you have a fire department. It was a fire extinguisher. That was a great correlation.
No, thanks, Larry.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Larry.
Right. Yeah, the Oath Keepers is a very interesting organization, and the idea is that to remind active peace officers and military people that their oath is to the Constitution. And in the UCMJ, it makes very clear that when their commanding officer, like the commander-in-chief, gives an unlawful order, like fire on civilians, their obligation is to arrest that person. Yes, Larry?
One thing I'd like to add. I mentioned this to one of our fairly local politicians, and they said, you should do this to all the police officers. He said, well, no, he said, some of the police officers would be afraid to sign this oath because there might be repercussions. Well, my reply to this was, any officer that would not sign that oath, there's one guy that I would not trust as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I know Tom Miller has made it pretty clear that if the feds come to collect the